All right, so hopefully you guys are coming in now. Yes, hi Nicola, hi, good to see you. Oh, there we go, I closed something. Let's just see. Everybody's coming in, that's good. Here we go, hi Laura, it's good to see you. See everyone just dropping in. Kate's here, hi Kate, good to see you. Yeah, Maddie's coming in now, and Val, it's good to see you guys. I say, so happy Sunday, everybody. What a day. It's been pouring down with rain here. So much rain, hail, madness. So it's been a really nice day actually for just kind of like staying in and choosing to just do some nice kind of relaxing and cozy things today inside. So that's been lovely. I would love to know, just drop a quick hello in and let me know what you've been up to today, what the weather's been like where you are, what you've been up to. I did have this little moment earlier, and this just shows, doesn't it, like how these little mindset tricks and, you know, all these things creep up on you. I thought to myself, should I get changed for tonight's call? Like, I'm in my cozy hoodie, and I was like, Amy, what's wrong with you? Like, be comfy, be cozy. You know, these people don't care what you're wearing. But it's funny, isn't it, how these little mindset things just creep up on us without really noticing. Hi, Maddie, it's good to see you. Right, wonderful, wonderful. It's good to see you guys here. Can't believe we're end of week 2 already. Where's that gone? Absolutely crazy. I know this week has been a bit of a big week for you guys. So we're going to dive into reflecting on some of that in just a second. For some reason, I'm not getting any chat messages through yet. So maybe you guys are just typing. I know sometimes there's a bit of a delay on some of this coming through. Oh, hi, Kate. So you're saying had cozy family movies on the sofa today. Yes, lovely. That's nice. That is a nice thing to do. Absolutely. We did a little bit of movies. We did a little bit of colouring. Stayed at home, did some cooking. Funnily enough, Nicola, you popped into my head earlier today, and I did think, I wonder if Nicola's doing some baking today and what she's up to, because I know you love a bit of a bake. Nicola's really talented in the world of baking. So yeah, stayed at home, did some cooking and did some craft. That's really nice. Yeah, Laura, lovely day here, lazy day. Got through 3 waterproof outfits. Wowza. And wanted to film with the kid, bake too. Yeah, tell me what you baked, guys. I always love to know. Oh yes, worked with your nephews, yeah, in West Yorks. Yeah, Maddie's, you've had a busy week this week, I know, with the family. Hopefully that's been nice for you as well. There we go. All right, cool. So let's dive in. I've got a couple of little prompts for myself tonight. And yeah, I'm excited. I think we go through this stage with this program where it's like you go through the kind of the build up, all the excitement, you tackle some of those quick wins, you get some real progress. And then you get to week 2 and it's like almost like a wall. It's like, wow, this stuff, now you're asking me some questions that are asking me to dive a bit deeper. And I know that this weekend might have challenged you to really kind of do a little bit of soul searching, do a bit of digging, but it's really worth it. I promise. It's good stuff. So I would love to know this week, you know, I sort of prompted you to do your weekly review, and we're going to dive into some of that. But even if you haven't done that sheet, it doesn't matter. I would love to know what you feel like this week you've progressed and what you feel proud of. And you can pop it into the chat box. But I would love to encourage you to speak up. So if you want to be like, have a bit of a voice in the call, then you're absolutely welcome to. So if you want to kind of tell me and tell everybody else what our progressed and proud ofs are. Oh, we've got you on double system there. Don't worry about that for now. What your progressed and proud ofs are, then you can just pop your name in the chat box and let me know that you want to speak up. Otherwise, just type it in for me, because I think it's so important for us to think about what we've progressed, because we're quite often looking for like end results or big things that we've done, and sometimes it's those little steps, those progress moments that we don't really pay that much attention to, but those are the things that are going to ultimately give us the great results in the end. Yeah, thanks, Laura, that's great. I'm going to ask you to unmute and it should be ready for you in just a second.
Hello,
let me just up my volume a little bit. There we go. Yeah, go for it, Laura. Tell us about your week and what you've progressed and proud of.
well, my week's been up and down. We've had a lot thrown at us this week, but I'm really proud that I've stuck at this and I've carried on, and I've worked through my goals that I wanted to do this week.
Amazing.
I'm really proud. Amy and I met for a face-to-face chat, and I'm really proud of myself because Amy knew that I was trying to get out of it. just life gets too busy, and it's so easy just to go, oh, I can't do it, I can't meet you. But Amy was like, no, come on, I think we should, and we did, and it was really good. So I'm really pleased with that. And out of that chat, then I got some more things to do and got the ball rolling with other things too. So I feel really proud of my achievements this week.
Fantastic. Yes. Woo! Big thumbs up for Laura, everybody. Amazing. Yeah, thank you, Laura. That's awesome. And one of the great things that at the end of our chat, Laura was like, right, we just need to stop now because I need to just go away and start doing some of this stuff, and get some ideas down. And I think it's really cool sometimes when you get those sparks of ideas, it's all too easy, isn't it? Just to move on to the next thing or go back to what you're doing, and actually catching the energy that you're feeling when you're with those things. Yeah. You start to really sort of connect to those things that are important to you. That is amazing. Thank you, Laura. Fantastic. Okay, let's just see. For some reason, my little screen's come up here. Okay, anybody else want to speak, or are you all going to type in the chat box for me? Let me know what you're progressed and proud of. Yeah, Val. Yeah, and yeah, Nicola, you can go after. Yeah, so Val, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, hi, sorry for joining late. I had some internet issues. Everything's decided to do a software update and everything's gone down. So,
don't worry, got you.
I'm actually quite proud of the fact that this week at work, even though it was still very stressful, I managed to actually leave reasonably early most days, which was really an achievement for me, and actually gave myself some proper me time. So I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's really good. I'm glad that you did that, and I'm glad you kind of spoke up about that, because I know that we've heard you talk a bit before about the work and how that's influenced how you're feeling and things. So it sounds like that's been a real massive amount of progress this week, and you've stuck to that, which is fantastic.
And I'm going to be sticking to it next week.
Good, fabulous. All right,
only 2.5 days of work next week, so that's good.
Great. Okay, lovely, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Nicola, go on then.
Okay, can you hear? I'm not sure if my microphone's working. Yeah, you can. Great. So a couple of things for me. I've been working on my thoughts for what my business needs to look like going forward, and I've also been thinking about a second business as well. And I came up with a new idea this week that I've been kind of working through around. Because my business is management development, so it's helping managers to understand themselves and working with organisations to train their managers, which is why this particular year no one's got any budgets and everything's kind of fallen off a bit of a cliff, really, which is why this year has been really, really difficult, and all of my income has kind of just gone. But I came up with a new idea this week and been sort of working through this new idea around helping managers to cope with the world of COVID and how to manage through this crazy time. So I've been working through that, and I feel like I've got a bit more of a product, I guess, a relevant product to be able to go out and speak to the market about. So that's been a really good thing. And the other thing as well that I kind of had more of a breakthrough on yesterday was I've been trying to work out who my audience really is, and I did lots of work yesterday. I did pages and pages of kind of notes and things, and sort of refining, and got a bit clearer about who I'm actually talking to and the type of things I need to be saying to them in social media, in general marketing. So I just feel, whilst it's still very much a work in progress, I feel a bit more like I know where I'm heading. There's a little bit of a defog, which has felt really really good this week, actually. So yeah, it's been a real roller coaster, I would say, the last 6 months for sure, but there are times when it all just feels really like it's pointless and I'm going to just have to go and get a proper job. And then there are other times where it feels a bit better, and today I would say I'm feeling a bit more like I've got a plan, so it feels good.
Amazing. That's awesome news. Thanks, Nicola. That's super cool. So Maddie and Kate, would you like to speak, or are you going to pop something in the chat? Maddie, do you want to speak? Went for the signal. I think I'm getting a nod. All right, go on then.
Hiya.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi. Yeah, well, I've had a bit of a mixed week because it was quite tough with my nephews. Well, extremely tough, shall we say. But I'm on my the camera's
Don't worry, we don't mind about your camera.
yeah, so I've decided I decided in August I thought I was going to do an OU course, and I've decided that I really am going to go for it and do an access course at first to get back into study, and then do the OU course. And also, until I start on it, I'm going to do a course on autism to help my nephews. So yeah, I mean, I decided that today because I actually got back from Fire yesterday, and I went over early this morning to take them to a centre to help out. And yeah, so I'm going to do the courses because I've decided that I want to learn more. And I was talking to the other PA this morning, is quite senior in sort of autism in the Bradford area. She's like the head of a centre, and she was giving me hints and tips and telling me about courses and things. So yeah, pretty good.
That's fantastic. Yeah, amazing progress. Thank you, Maddie. That's awesome. I think it's so important to recognize those steps that we're making, and and sometimes it's different. Like what you thought you were going to focus on last week before, and where you are now, it evolves, it changes, and that's fine. It's as long as you feel like everything you're doing is taking you on that pathway towards where you want to be, and it's not you're not sort of distracting yourself by going here, there, and everywhere. If you're feeling like, right, I'm gonna try this because it's going to be really good for me, like Nicola was saying about this business idea, so having some really good exploration about it. Maddie, you talk about different things, so I think it's so good to just test things out and experiment, but do it in a way that if it feels good and it feels like the right thing to do, then great, absolutely go for that thing. So I think that is so cool. So I would love to know, in terms of the work that you did around strengths this week, I'd like you just to share maybe a couple of your thoughts around, I don't know, any insights you got from that work, how you found the experience of looking at your own strengths. Because I had a couple of conversations with some of you this week around, like, I think Kate posted in the group, like, I don't know where I'm starting, and Nicola had shared some stuff. And, strengths can be a really difficult thing to get your head round, because we often don't really stop to actually notice them because they're natural, they're just what come easily to us. So actually to stop and to say, what are my strengths? How do I do my best work? How do I show up as the best version of me, and what does that mean? It's a really big question. And what I also love about that question is it gets you thinking about the things that you're good at, the things that you enjoy doing, the things that you get a buzz from doing, the things that give you energy rather than the things that drain you. And that sometimes reminds you about connecting with those things again. So it's quite easy when you're thinking about strengths to kind of get them a little bit muddled with kind of what you're good at, so maybe what your skills are versus what your strengths are. And you might have heard me talk about this a little bit in the video, because quite often people might say, oh, you've got a real strength in pulling together Excel spreadsheets and turning it into meaningful data. And that could be a strength of yours, but it could also be something that you just had to learn to get by. And it might be that if given half the chance, you maybe wouldn't lay your finger on an Excel spreadsheet at all. So other people's perceptions of what your strengths are is quite interesting. So I always think this is great coming at it from your own point of view, but it's also quite a fun thing to do to ask others as well. Oh, hi, Kate. Yeah, I know. I get that. I can't speak because it just makes me cry. That's completely cool. But really proud of yourself for sticking to this week's work. Your story is a huge trigger for me. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that to me. It started when you were 4, so it's been a 40-year-old story. But instead of quitting and saying no to writing it all down and delving in deep, I stuck to it, revisited some really dark times instead of ignoring it all and skipping that section and hiding away. So good on you, Kate. That is amazing, because I think it's doing this in a way that feels safe for you. But it is one of these things where it's like, do I go there or don't I go there? But if you don't go there, then you miss the opportunity to maybe move through some of that. And, we can talk about some of this kind of separately as well. If any of you guys have got stuff you want to just pick up and have a quick message with me about. because it is about just kind of going. And sometimes it's easier to skip past the things that feel hard. And, you know, you guys have talked about that a little bit already this evening and actually in previous calls. So good on you for sticking with that. I'm just going to adjust my screen. I'm looking to the side because my camera is just over here. So yeah, well done, Kate. You're getting loads of love there, Kate. That's amazing. Really, really good work. So the strengths is a challenging thing, but it's a really exciting thing. And that's why I've got you to do it this week, because you've started to kind of think about what you want and what you want from the program, but what you want from next year and ongoing. Then you start to think about what might get in the way. Then you start to think, well, what have I got I've already got inside me that I can really use to help propel me forward? And that's why this is so exciting, because it's what you've already got and how you can use it. So just again, you can pop it in the chat, or you can share if you want, just some of the things you notice when you were reflecting on strengths. And I'd love to know, like, just how you found it, because I remember the first time that I was thinking about strengths and I was given this task, right, grab this blank sheet of paper and just write 10 strengths. And I literally sat there, like, where do I start? What are my strengths? But actually, sometimes when you start to explore it and you start to have some prompts to help you, it really, really makes a difference. So I know that I sort of showed you in the web page, you've got some cards and stuff there. I think, Nicola, you've got the same set of cards as me. And so actually having those prompts is super helpful as well. But I would love to know if anybody wants to pop something in the chat, or you want to speak up. Yeah, Val, you can. I think it's coming through from your point. It should have come through. Let me see. That's it.
Yeah, interestingly, even though I had a bit more time this week to do some stuff, I didn't do any of my workbook, in all honesty, and I didn't really participate in any of the Facebook chat, because after looking at a video in a laptop all day, I'm too tired to look at things in the evening. So I spent quite a bit of time today going through. I had a very interesting morning this morning, going through some strength cards. And pulling out words that I felt associated with myself about strength. But then what I found really interesting was when writing part of my story, which I had to stop because I, a bit like Kate, got a bit emotional at one point, but I will continue it. I realised that I'm going to do it again now. Sorry.
Why?
Oh dear. When I was writing my strengths down, I realised they were the polar opposite of the story that I've been telling myself all these years.
Okay.
And so it's very interesting for me.
Yeah.
So even at my age, you know, discovering and learning, you know, how to be resilient and how to actually start believing in yourself is quite powerful for me.
Yeah, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And you're going to layer up on this next week as well.
Yeah.
And it is big, and this does bring out emotions.
It does, yeah.
It can't be underestimated. Like, you know, it's a big thing. And, you know, and I remember just, you know, I think you might have seen my post in the Facebook group, maybe some of you, that when I first started, I was like, where do I start? What is my kind of story? Like, what am I about? What's shaped me? What's, you know, what excuses am I holding on to now because of stuff that I've done in the past? And it is quite an emotional journey, but I think was really powerful is what you've said there, Val, which is about these strengths that you're actually remembering and reconnecting with, the things that come naturally to you, and maybe some of the things that you've kind of let slide, or you've resisted, or you've covered them up, and now you're letting them out again.
Exactly. And it's all helped to, you know, a little boy really who just makes me feel all those things that I actually deep down do believe, you know, the playfulness, you know, I love being playful and being, you know, silly, you know, and to me that is being playful is a massive strength, you know, because as adults, I don't think we allow ourselves to play as much.
Yeah.
And I know I instill that in my children, and, you know, they certainly still do know how to play, which is wonderful, I think, you know.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Thank
Good
you.
work.
I'm gonna go on mute now again.
Yeah. Have a little moment. It's all fine.
Thank you.
Maddie, I see Maddie said the hard workingness. So actually it's come through in your housekeeping. So that's really interesting that actually, you know, this thing about sort of being focused on things. And I know from you, Maddie, the organisation and, you know, things has been something you've worked on, and it's really, really good to see how that's coming through for you, getting lots of love there. That's really nice. That's what I love about this community. You guys are all so awesome, really supportive of each other. So there's a lot of work to be done. And what I'm doing with you really week by week is layering this up for you. I'm giving you little bits, and what will happen is you will do the work here and you'll get to a certain point, and then we'll layer up on it through the course. And then, you know, maybe 6-7 weeks time, there might be something else that pops into your mind that relates back to where we are now. And suddenly you've discovered a new strength. You've uncovered something new about yourself. So you will continue to build on this if you want to do that. And so it doesn't necessarily mean it's like a journey of continuous development as such, although it could be, but it's about allowing yourself to really embrace everything that you've got and everything that you can have to get you to where you want to be. So yeah, Nicola, I know that you shared about your strengths in the group and that you kind of went flowing with that. So that was really positive. And I think it's one of those things that, yeah, we can just build on. So again, with this, just think about these strengths. And what I'd love you to think about just as we go forward is maybe build in also, like, what are the things that I think I'm good at as well, but are they definitely a strength? Does it come easily to me? Does it give me a buzz? So when I'm thinking, is it a strength? Is it a skill? I ask myself like 3 questions really, or maybe 4, I don't know. Let's see how they go. Is it something that comes easily to me? So I don't have to really take much energy and effort. Is it something that gives me a buzz from doing? And if I was given the choice, would I do it anyway? And those are kind of my 3 little checklists for really starting to just quickly identify, is it a strength or is it a skill? Because like I said earlier, we can be good at doing something, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we would want to do it all the time, or that it gives us a natural energy boost. It could just be that we're good at doing it. So quite a lot of, in one of my previous jobs, I used to have to set up, I ran a training center. So I used to have to set up training plans, all kinds of loads of data and things like that. And I really hated doing it. But everyone used to say to me, you're so organized, you know, all the figures, you've got all the analysis, that, you know, you're just such a natural. And I was thinking, I hate that task. It's like the last thing I do on a Friday before I leave. If I could outsource that to anyone, I would definitely get rid of it. But everyone else was like, oh, that's great, you know, it comes easy to you. But actually inside I was like, no, this is not my bag. So it just shows you how people can interpret and identify the different things that are skills and strengths. But I really hope that you guys will layer onto that as well as we go through. So I would love to know whether you have got any questions for me, anything that you're pondering on, anything that you think you need some extra help in, you'd like me to kind of give you a little bit of a Amy coaching on, any kind of ideas and thoughts. Anything goes here, so you can definitely ask me anything. And if you want to put it in the chat, you can put it in the chat and I'll respond as best I can. If you want to say anything vocally, then that's completely fine also. So I'll give you just a little moment to ponder. Yeah, Nicola, I'll just let you unmute. You should be unmuted now, Nicola.
Okay, thank you. It's easier than typing.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
I think I put it in the group, but I can't remember. It was around my story stuff.
Yeah, what do you do with it?
What do you do with it? Yeah, so once you kind of, you know, once you spot maybe the unhelpful things that you're saying to yourself all the time, what comes after that? And I get that maybe that's something we're covering in future weeks, but as I was writing them down and feeling a bit, you know, sad about them,
yeah.
I then was wondering what's the action here? And I guess that for me, that's always my my go-to thought is, what do I do next?
Yes.
And maybe some of that actually I need to work on, to just, sometimes I should just sit with things and not always be thinking about how I fix it or move along. You know, sometimes maybe I should just sit with it. But I'm curious as to how, you know, what comes after the story. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're a natural solution finder, fixer, action taker, then it's completely natural that you want to go in and, right, I've done that now, so what? What next?
Yeah.
So that's completely natural. So the first stage, really, the reason I get you to do your story is because so often we think about what we want to achieve and then we get in our own way in some shape or form. We'll all do this. We'll all do it in everyday life, you know, here and now, but it's the bigger things I'm thinking about, the things that have shaped us. And the reason I get you to do your story is because sometimes what it does is it uncovers those things you've forgotten about, the hidden, or the things you've put to one side because you didn't want to acknowledge it or move it through, the things that might have given you some resistance in the past. And part of that is about awareness. So the first stage is about awareness, and it's about connecting the dots, because quite often when we're thinking like, oh, why am I struggling to go and do this Facebook Live or whatever it might be? You know, why am I struggling to stay on track with my healthy eating or anything like that? Quite often there's something that's got you to that point. So there'll be either a system of events, there'll be one particular experience, or something that has created some resistance around that activity. And so doing that story just helps you to really notice, what are the things I'm telling myself? What are the things, but also like, what are some of the things that have brought me to this point, and how has that happened? Because like, that is life. We've all made choices, decisions, taken actions that have got us to here. And some of those things we might look back and think they were amazing decisions. Some of them you might look back and think, maybe I wish I'd done a different decision, but we can't change it. We are where we are. But noticing that story and the different points that have got you to where you are is such useful information, because sometimes what it will do is it will take you to a particular point in life where something changed for you. And if you can identify what that was, then you can move through into changing the beliefs around that much easier and quicker. Sometimes, I mean, I had this thing, it's going back maybe 4-5 years, perhaps something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I suddenly had this release around this belief of I'm not worthy. But I literally, no matter how hard I tried, I was thinking, I have no reason, I do not understand why I don't feel worthy of doing this business or whatever. I couldn't pinpoint anything at all. And I just started to like backtrack my story and just start to think about like, what are the things that have brought me to this point? Why don't I feel like I'm worthy? What have I heard in different jobs or different environments that made me feel like that? And where I noticed that particular kind of belief stem back to was really, really early in my career, where I was doing a job. I was doing like a management job, and I was getting paid 12 grand a year. And I was pretty young, and I was doing quite a good job for my age, but I really believed that I deserved more money for the job I was doing, the hours I was doing, and that kind of stuff. But it basically wasn't given. And I got to this point where I was like, I'm obviously not worthy enough of this money. But had I have not done that story, I wouldn't have really been able to connect where that came from. As soon as I knew that, I was like, oh, I get it now. Okay, now I know where it's come from. Now I can think about it. So how has that influenced all the things that I've done in my life? And I mean, that sounds like it would take days and hours and all these kind of things. And I didn't pore over it for like hours, but it just helped think, oh, okay, that's where that came from. Now I can join the dots. And then it showed up later in my career where I would demand like higher salaries for jobs and things. So I was like, I am worthy. And if you're not going to give it to me, then I won't do the job. And I remember one other pivotal point in my story that linked to that, which I wouldn't have noticed had I not have done the story work, was that when I was in a job, this was not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe a bit longer, I was in a restructure, and the jobs were, there were three jobs to stay at the same level that I was at, and there were 3 jobs that were a promotion. And one of the jobs that was in the promotion was really basically the job I was doing. And I didn't even bother going for the same job that was at the same level that I was at. So I said, I'm going to go for the promotion. If I don't get it, I'm not staying, because I believe in myself now. And, you know, it's like, I believe I'm worthy of that. And so it's quite interesting how all these different things I was able to then join up in hindsight. So that's why the story is helpful, because I think it reminds you of what you've done and how you've got to this point. And then what you do with it next is you then start to then tackle, so what are some of the things I've been telling myself, and maybe some helpful things along the way, let's not forget that. But where are some of the things I've been telling myself that are not helpful? Well, if I've worked out where they've come from, then that can be really useful information. And I can start to then say, but is that true now? How can I reframe that into something much more positive? How can I challenge that belief? Because I know that that's not true. That's not true about me. It's not true about my situation. And it's maybe, we dive into this a bit more next week. So, and you know, again, if I think about another example that I was pondering on actually when you asked your question, when I think about the back injury I had, it was like, I can't do it because of my back. And that could have been part of my story. I can't do this because of my back. But actually, it wasn't anything to do with my back. It was to do with the fear that I was feeling about feeling pain. It was to do with the fear that I was feeling about taking a setback and not being able to do things. It wasn't anything about the back. It was about the things I was telling myself that were leading to it. So does that make a bit more sense?
It does, but it also means I think I need to do more work on it, actually, because I think I've done it too top line, and I think I probably need to go a bit deeper. So as I read through what I wrote down, I've written what I tell myself at the moment, and actually there's probably a whole lot of other things I do tell myself, but I thought, you know, based on my current kind of vision,
yes, what
is it that I'm telling myself? But I don't think haven't gone far enough to then think why, actually.
Yeah. And that could be a next stage. So next week, when we talk about beliefs, we talk a bit about inner dialogue and things like that. And it's fine to keep it kind of current and contained if that's helpful for you. But actually, it might be just saying, well, why do I tell myself that? And just even try and take it back 1 or 2 stages. That might be really helpful.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all right. So Maddie has put in the comments, staying positive when others aren't. Haha, love it, Maddie. This is definitely something that needs dedication, let's say. So I notice, for me, in terms of my own energy, I can get quite affected by people around me. So if other people are buoyant, then I will go with that. If other people are negative, I find it really difficult to not take on that negative emotion. Now, I've worked on that a lot, and I can really disconnect from that now. But I think when you're in a place where you're trying to stay positive, you're trying to stay focused, and other people around you aren't, it's probably worth you just pondering on the thought, what is it about that? So I don't know the exact circumstance here, but if other people are not being positive towards you and your journey and your progress, then you need to stay resilient with that and being firm to you and not letting that affect you as much as you can. But also, in some ways, it's about protecting yourself. So I know that in work like this, people can often say, oh, well, it's too late to change, why are you bothering to do things like that? And actually, your friends and family, they'll care for you, they'll be thinking about you, they'll be caring, but actually they're putting a negative spin on something that you're potentially trying to do. And I don't know if that's a scenario, I'm just kind of making it up a little bit, but the thing there is about how you're going to cope with that. So one coping strategy could be that you just don't tell them as much. You just kind of keep it a bit. You just say, oh yeah, it's fine. And I know sometimes I've spoken to a couple of people recently who are doing like food related like programs, health eating, calorie counting and things like that. And there's certain family members who ask the question, they say, oh, how are you doing? But really, they don't want to celebrate the progress of the person. They want to just kind of use it as an opportunity to have a little poke. So there's a couple of things. There's about, for you, being really strong and staying connected with you, your positive rituals, the things that we've talked about before, like the gratitude, thinking about practicing that kind of abundant mindset. But it's also about thinking about how much do you want to share with people in terms of how they might influence what they're thinking with you. So hopefully that makes sense, Maddie. Pop her something in if you need something more. It's easy, everyone's on their own journey. You can't judge people for where they are. We're all on our own journey. And some people are more open to things than others. And that's just life. That's the way it is. I didn't bother making a cup of tea tonight because I knew it would just go cold. So I'm just going to have a sip of my water. It did cross my mind, but I thought no. Okay. Oh, it's about your nephews. Okay. Yeah. So I think, I don't know, Maddie, maybe we need to have a bit more of a ponder on that and think, but you know, for you, I just think it's about thinking about what you need to stay positive for you, and whether that is about you kind of going into some of those situations where you feel like there's a bit more negativity around you, but you feeling like you're really feeling resourced, you've got that inner strength going on, whatever you've told yourself to go into that situation and create that positive environment, you know, that you can almost protect to a degree, you know, bringing any of that negativity in. That can be really helpful. Okay, anything else? Anything else? So remember, this isn't your only opportunity to ask questions and dive into it. I'll pop the questions thread in, which will go in tomorrow. So as with all the time, even if you think it's a daft question, you know, do I really want to ask this? Just pop your questions into the questions thread, because I will quite often do a quick answer there and then, a bit like I did with Nicola's. But then, you know, sometimes to type everything that I said earlier would would have been impossible. So, you know, I'm happy to answer any quick questions there, but bring it into this coaching call as well. And like I said before, sometimes if it's quite a big question that you might ask me, and I think it's something that might benefit from being answered more fully sooner, then I'm happy to just jump into the group and do a quick video, a quick Facebook Live, something like that, to help you guys out to make a bit of progress. So I would love to know, just while I'm giving you this moment to pause to think what else you might need from me this evening on this call, I would love to know, what are you learning about yourself this week? So one of those prompts in your workbook is, what are you learning about yourself? So I would just love to know what you've written in there, or if you haven't written in it yet, that's fine, but just what you feel like you're learning about yourself this week. And I'm just going to make sure that I have mentioned everything that I thought about before I came on. All right. Okay, the small steps are good. Yeah, absolutely. The small steps are good. Really good. Really, really good. You're stronger than you thought. Yes, absolutely. We have got this inner strength, and it kind of pops up and reminds us every so often. The more that you can do to replenish that inner strength and to build it day in, day out, the kind of more steely you're going to be. So things like some of the things that we've talked about, so practicing your gratitude, coming back to that as often as you can, daily if possible, twice a day if really possible, you know, and thinking about noticing those small steps that you're doing, making those steps of progress, ticking it off in the book, identifying where you're at. And I think all of those things really help you to remember what you're doing for you, and to give you that confidence, that sense that you can do this. Really, really good. So yeah, stronger than you thought. And quite often we surprise ourselves with that. Yeah, Val 2, the impact of overusing your strengths. Yeah, we didn't really talk about that earlier, but yeah, absolutely. So that's really interesting. I know for you, Nicola, that was a bit of a moment, wasn't it? So, and strengths, yeah, we love them. They're great. They can really help us. But if we rely on them to the detriment of other things, then that's okay once every so often, but it is not necessarily going to be great in terms of it being sustainable. So I talked about that a little bit in the video. Kate, stronger than you've been thinking lately. Yes, absolutely. Good. Consistent action produces results. And it really does. It really, really does. And just think, we're at the end of week 2, guys. This is, you know, I know that this week has felt like a bit, oh, this is hard. This is emotional. It's bringing stuff up. But you guys have got this. Like, you go to where you feel is good to go, is safe to go, feels okay, feels like, you know, enough of that delayering that you can do something with without taking yourself to a place where you feel, you know, really uncomfortable. And if you get close to that place, you've got to pick up the phone. You've got to talk to me about it. I want to be there for you to support you through it. So please ask me and let me know. Nicola, is in particular my strength of independence. Yes, means I don't ask for help enough. Yes, I think that is so important, isn't it, to look at those things and to think about what do they mean and how do they show up in real life? Like, what is that about? And I think you've done a really good job there, Nicola, of like looking at those things and kind of connecting them back to like what they mean for you in everyday life. So that is super, super helpful. Yeah, it is a journey, definitely. So next week, the content is all about beliefs. And you'll see in your book, I'm going to point it out actually, because it might give you a little bit of a moment of confusion if you let it, but you don't need to. So this is week 3. So it's all about your belief system. And here I've written, it's all about strategies to enable you to escape the fear and learn one simple daily practice that will change your mindset. So the fear, you might remember when we talked about it in the boot camp, we talked about it from a goal setting point of view. This is about the mindset fear. This is about the things that we allow ourselves to stop doing that are going to just get in the way of us making that progress. So when I'm talking about the fear here, I'm talking about the things that are holding you back, whether that is the beliefs, the mindset, the way you sabotage yourselves. And so the next stage in this, you're going to have already started by doing this story work, which is part of the reason why we kind of do the story this week. Because what it'll do is it'll maybe flag up some of the things that you believe about yourself now, so that when you do the beliefs work next week, and the first video is called What Do You Believe? And it's all about what do you believe about yourself? What's your kind of the unhelpful thoughts and the helpful thoughts, and that inner dialogue, you'd have already started to get a sense of that. So again, it makes it come a little bit easier than if I just give you the blank sheet of paper and say, right, tell me what you say about yourself that's helpful and unhelpful. It's a real like where do I start? What is she really asking me? Whereas now you start to think about your story, you've probably heard yourself saying some of those things or thought about some of those things. So it kind of warms you up a little bit for it as well. So I'm just going to check back in on the chat, see if there's anything else there. If anybody else wants to say anything, give me a wave or put something in the chat so I can make sure I don't move us on before we're done. All right, amazing. Okay, so let's do this thing that we did last week, which is your word for the week. So this kind of thing for the week ahead, what's it going to be for you? What's your kind of your theme, your focus? Where are you going with your actions for next week? And I would love to know if you've got any particular actions lined up already that you're going to be making progress with next week. And again, just if you want to pop it in the chat, pop it in the chat. If you want to say, just let me know. And the page for the next week's content should be in Facebook as well for you. It should be there, ready for you to reconnect when you want to. And what there is now as well, if you scroll down to the end of the page, you can kind of go back to the first module or forward to the next one, which you'll be able to do obviously on a Sunday evening. But the dashboard page, you've got the links to all the pages. So it just makes it super easy for you to navigate around. And there's also a page in there at the bottom where I put the live coaching calls in. You might have seen me upload those things already, but also I've put a couple of images, like placeholder images for the other ones. So again, that's just another way. If you click on that image for the Zoom link, it should just bring you straight here as well. So just trying to make it super easy for you to save you hunting around for links and stuff like that. All right, so Maddie's focus for this coming week ahead: to walk or bike to work 4 days a week and regain my positive strength. Fantastic. Yeah, charge it up, Maddie. You've got it. Being happy that my small wins will turn into big wins. Yes, absolutely. So keep focusing on those things that you're doing every day, you know, or however often you're doing these things, they all do add up, and they definitely do. Laura's focus is all around mindset. I'm going to focus on me more. and have a go at meditating. Okay, I can point you to some helpful resources if that's something that would be useful. Yeah, I'll pop something in the group in a minute. There's a lovely lady I know who does like a freebie 7-day, 6 minutes a day sort of thing. She's absolutely superstar, Nikki. I'll pop her details in the group. And go back to the basics to keep my anxiety at bay. Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Nicola's word is reflect. So yeah, absolutely, to reflect on yeah. Nicola, you're sort of, you know, there's lots going on for you, isn't there? So it's about reflecting on everything, pondering on it. I know Kate had said as well, I think she might have said it in one of the Facebook comments, that she didn't feel like she got very far this week, but she'd actually written 14 pages of notes. So must have been doing something right. And sometimes, you know, the words just flow. And sometimes, you know, actually you're better off spending time exploring the things that you're on a track with, rather than thinking, oh, but I've still got one more video to watch this week. I'd much rather if you said, oh, I didn't get a chance to do that, but, you know, I felt like I really spent my time wisely doing these other things, then that's great. That's absolutely fine. Like, I'm not a teacher. I'm not going to tell you off for not doing the videos, but it's about keeping it focused in a way that is really, really going to work for you. So Kate, your focus is just to let next week flow as it needs to, as it's half term. Yes, absolutely. So not putting myself under too much pressure, under much pressure at all. Yeah, good. And sometimes it is making those decisions to say, I'm just going to let it happen. I'm not going to force fit everything in, and I'm going to see what flows, and I'm going to feel good and, you know, enjoy the family time and things like that. So absolutely. So Nicola's saying, yes, same as Kate, half to impact what I can achieve next week. Yeah, I'm the same, guys. I'm the same. I think there's quite a few. And I think even when you haven't got kids and you're not doing half term, there's always stuff going on, isn't there? You've got, you know, things going on, people to see, work to do, you know, and I think it's about just doing what feels right for you in a way that feels right. Kate, I only had to stop because I've written so much I was getting a headache. Kate, maybe you need to just do some dictation, find some voice to text thing. Still not finished. You'll be after a new notebook soon. It'll be more than 14 pages. Yeah, your first novel. Absolutely. All right, guys, this is amazing. I'm just feeling so, yeah, humbled, I think is the word for me, of everything that you guys are doing, because I know that I'm not going through this in the same way you are at this point, but I have been through it. I've been through it more than once, and I know where you're at right now, which is why I know like what you're going to need and how it's going to work. So as always, like, come in, ask for help, share your ideas. If you want to kind of share your gratitudes, do that. If you want to kind of say, oh, I did this and that was my one small step, like, use the group, share as much as you like. But equally, if you don't want to go on social and you want to just carry on in your own way, that's fine. But I love to hear your wins. I love to hear your progress. So even if you just pop in a little bit, that would be really nice. Yeah, I will put the link to Nikki. She's my Zen Days is what she is, Nikki. I'll pop her details into the group so you can all see her. She's lovely. I know her personally. She's absolute superstar. So I can really personally recommend her. She does do some paid programs, but I know she does some freebie stuff as well that might be just nice for you to dabble with and just to have an experiment. So I will definitely pop that in for you as well. All right, lovely. Well, thank you so much for joining me on Sunday evening. And these dark evenings makes one want to get all cozy and settled, doesn't it? You can all go to bed now and relax. But thank you all so much. As always, I'll speak to you in the Facebook group. You know where I am if you need anything. Even if you just want to like send me a message, that's absolutely fine. Please do that. And I will catch up with you all in the group during the week. All right, take care, guys. I will speak to you soon. Okay, take care.